7:30. Hello everybody, thanks for coming along. This is an extraordinary meeting of the Parish Council that will concentrate and focus only on the Parish Council's suggested response to the consultation that's being run by Huntingdon District Council on the local plan to 2036. The first item on the agenda, as it's a Parish Council meeting, is for apologies for absence and declarations of interest from parish councillors. So we have apologies from Rob and
Ian.
Yeah?
And Ian.
And Ian, of course, yes. Any declarations of interest apart from being residents of Hilton? So that's that part. The next part is where we close the Parish Council meeting and invite comments from and observations from members of the public. Has anybody got any comments they'd like to make regarding these item 2 on the agenda?
Item 2 is what?
That is the Parish Council's proposed response to the consultation.
It's not a consultation, it's the proposed submission.
Proposed submission, sorry, on HGC, so it's our proposed submission to Huntingdon District Council in response to the local draft, the local plan for 2036. We had a extraordinary meeting in November, December? October, was it? How long ago was that? Was it? Goodness me. When the District Council had put out this call for sites, and 5 sites have been submitted, and then they announced a new period, which was for stakeholders to submit comments on the draft plan. And stakeholders is everybody, so everybody can submit, but they have put some guidelines down that say if you submit, it must, if you don't agree with their proposals, you can only submit if you consider it to be not sound or illegal. Or you can submit to support Huntingdon District Council's draft plan to 2036. Well, it's draft until it's formalised, isn't it?
I think this is what, well,
It's words, isn't it? They have put this thing on the table. They've invited comments from people. They want to ratify it at the end of the consultation period, which is before the next Parish Council meeting.
Can you just clarify, because after the last meeting you were putting in a response, weren't you?
Yes.
You did.
Yes.
Did you get a response to that?
No.
So nobody got responses to that. Did they change the document after that? I mean, because I haven't been able to spot where another document is.
Okay.
You're nodding, so I guess it is there somewhere. Yeah.
So what they did, they took all the, from what I can understand, they took all the submissions, and there were lots of submissions on that last consultation, and they considered that with regards to their district plan for 2036, and they have made some changes to their district plan. In that district plan, which is 1,000 and something pages long.
Local plan.
Local plans.
Yeah.
In that local plan, which they have listed a number of sites which they are looking to develop. Then they have put down, again, they've said the areas that they want to put development in, which are the 5 large towns, the
Key service centres.
Thank you, key service centres. But what they have done is that they've changed the definition that they've attached to small settlements. So if we wind back to the middle of last year, there was a consultation on the draft plan, of which there was a nice definition about small settlements, which said it would only be very restricted development, and we submitted a response to that, which supported Huntingdon District Council's proposals on that. This time round, they've changed the definition of small settlements, and that's why Hilton, the draft submission that we have at the moment, which would be ratified and then sent in, we're saying we don't support that because the local plan bit for small settlements just leaves it wide open. Doesn't give any definition as to restricting the amount of development that can happen in the village of this size with no bus service, no doctor's surgery. So it goes against what was originally proposed. So that's why this draft is out there. Okay, any other comments from the floor? So.
Mike Phillips, I live in Chapel Close. Just a couple of things. When do you have to respond? What's the deadline for the response?
I think it's 4th of February. You have to excuse me, I've been away for a few days.
That's all right.
It's the 4th of February?
Monday the 3rd.
3rd, yeah.
Okay. It's just that personally, I see this is dated the 12th. Your draft submission is dated the 12th of January. Was it on the website?
It is on the website.
It is.
But we don't have to.
Spotted.
The idea of having a meeting is then we discuss it, then we ratify it. We haven't submitted it yet.
Oh no, I realise that. Just I wonder if I'm alone in not having seen this before this evening, because it's difficult to comment. You invited comment on your draft submission, but I suspect that very few people will have had a chance to read it. There we are. And the District Council refers to their latest draft local plan as basically their final draft.
Yes, that's correct.
But presumably they're still open to change.
It's
In other
all
words, you're not
worded
going
because-
through a meaningless exercise if we whatever we come.
Well, back in August, they were actually asking, saying that this is a consultation period. Now they're saying that document that's on the website now is their proposed submission. So this is the one that will go to the Secretary of State. But there is also an opportunity for stakeholders to make a representation to HDC now before the 3rd. So that's what this is all about. So although we supported the one back in August, we're not supporting this one as a parish council. Well, that's what's on the table. We've not obviously voted on it.
We haven't discussed it. That's what the purpose of the meeting is. Ian's got his hand up.
Just a comment really, I think bearing in mind, I understand what you're doing. I think it might be very sensible if actually you could explain, give opportunity for people on the parish to explain, and then maybe have a bit of a discussion at the end, which will I think be a sensible way of proceeding with the meeting. Because it can get a little confusing if you're not too careful.
Any other comments? Are you happy with the answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, but explain what the background to the plan, Ian. And so
essentially, give an opportunity to the parish who's obviously done some work to actually present it to us, and then maybe open it up for any queries about process or about what you are saying, etc. So just to give an opportunity for people to understand what you're saying and why you're saying it.
Yeah, that's the idea, roughly. Yeah. Andy, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, no, you're right. I've added some paragraphs into the LP10, making it much more woolly, saying that, you know, development might be acceptable, you know, very woolly, various criteria they might think is acceptable. If therefore, if there's not a primary school, but they still might accept it because, you know, so I think we need to really tie down the fact that they've just opened up lots of holes in there to allow stuff.
And that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
They, in the number of sites that they put in the local plan, the 5 sites that were submitted in Hilton are not included in those sites, but and had the definition of small settlements remained the same, then they would have been excluded from that. However, the loosening of the definition means that anything could happen anywhere. So any small settlement could receive applications, or there could be applications submitted to develop. How many houses are they looking for? 20,100? Yeah. So that little bit, if you like, of protection for small settlements has gone. Any other comments from the floor at the moment? We will, as the Parish Council, we have to then close that section of the meeting. We're going to discuss it and then we'll have a general discussion afterwards.
Picking up on the
Yeah.
Just to say the highlights, I think, for us as a village, in the local plan is broken down into, as you will probably see, into policy statements and then the reasoning behind it. LP1 wasn't in the previous draft, which is in this draft, which outlines how many new houses there are going to be in Huntingdonshire, is something which we've never seen those figures before. Then LP10, which is to do with small settlements and defining what small settlements are and what development possibilities there are in small settlements. As quite rightly said, this has been loosened up, and so this is the crux of the argument the Parish Council has put forward, is that we had something which was pretty easy to understand. As a small settlement, we didn't qualify for unsustained development. We didn't qualify for the boundaries of the village to be expanded, whereas now, with some of the text that's been used and the reasoning behind LP10, it looks like it's really open to interpretation, and which is quite a backward step, we feel.
Yeah, and I think if it was adopted as it is, then it leaves the door open for any of those 5 sites to be submitted. And then there would be the planning applications to go through, and the debate would come up on those 5 if they were submitted. And obviously lots of discussions would have to go around the village at that point. But at the moment, as we stand, there are no proposals on the table for planning on those 5 sites. I think that would be fair to say.
Yeah, so when the call for land came out, the sites that were put forward wouldn't have qualified under the previous draft of the local plan. With this current draft, what they're hoping to submit, there's much more room for those sites to be considered. There's still certain things that we can fight them on, using the local plan as our sort of hammer to hit them with, but it wasn't as tight as it was.
And that's roughly what the line the Parish Council is proposing to take in its response to the plan. In the conclusion, we say the original principle of concentrating housing development in locations which provide the greatest potential for a comprehensive range of services is valid, and the latest draft still supports this. However, there is a softening in the guidance in respect to small settlements, which indicates Huntingdon District Council or Huntingdonshire District Council are prepared to support development under certain much more specific conditions. Considering this change of tone, together with the recent housing and economic land availability assessment, which was the call for sites, it is not hard to come to the conclusion that in order for CCC HDC to meet its national housing targets, it is casting the net wider for suitable sites, which now include small settlements. This would be a mistake, and we urge Huntingdonshire District Council to adhere to its original principles in the allocation of sustainable development sites. For these reasons, Hilton Parish Council does not support this latest version of the local plan to 2036, as it is no longer sound. So we're using the word sound. We don't believe that what they're saying is illegal, but we're no lawyers. And we haven't got the resources to challenge the legality of the document. We can only challenge whether we believe it's sound, and I don't know, right? Comments from the parish councillors.
Well, it strikes me that the pressure on councils to build houses is very high, which is presumably what's behind this shift, both in terms of the numbers for the county, as well as the wording. And on the one hand, I read all the things saying that here are all the sites that are going to be developed, and I was delighted that there weren't great big sites here that were going to be developed. So it just seemed to me surprising that if with all the sites identified, on paper they have enough housing now, a target, so why loosen off a small settlements thing? So that kind of thing just makes me suspicious and uncomfortable, and it would certainly be more helpful for us as a parish to have some specificity about when do you qualify and when do you not. Otherwise, every planning application is going to be a minor or major nightmare.
Yeah, and we saw in the call for sites that it was reported that Hilton has a good bus service.
Yes. What was that?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we have
And employment.
employment, and those would be arguments to make if a proposal was made for development within Hilton.
So it's, yeah, without that clarity on the policy, it does seem to me we've lost, well, all the settlements have lost quite a lot, lost a lot of power, lost a lot of power.
Any other comments from council?
I think it's great. Only comment I would make is if someone sort of read this as a long document, whether they make the last line bold and by itself. It's sort of like going through a quotation, isn't it? You look for the price.
Or do you suggest we
You
put
don't know
it,
yourself there, Graham.
Graham, do you suggest we put it right at the top, the response Hilton does?
I did actually put it in the opening statement as well. Last track.
Yeah. Well, it does actually say conclusion, so I think someone would go quite happy to the end to see
Yeah.
conclusions.
I think that's fair.
But I'm just thinking the last line could be in bold and just accept the line to itself.
Yeah, and it does say that the draft is no longer sound, the new draft is no longer sound.
Absolutely.
It's just, you know, you can imagine they might get quite a few responses. So the conclusions there, and all the supporting information that we've discussed is in the document.
Do you think we will ever know if they do change the wording until they've actually, will they re-put the document out again before submitting it? Or do you think we will know what their views are once it's been submitted and rubber stamped?
Would you know the answer to that, Ian?
The normal process actually is that they've agreed the plan, it's gone through the review and scrutiny panel, it's gone to the cabinet, it's gone to the full council. So what you're talking about is their final submission, which will go to an inspector. That's the process that happens now. It goes to an inspector, Sarah. An inspector sits, which I think is perhaps when you've perhaps got to the end of the thing where you need to have a bit more of a discussion, in my view. I mean, it's been 20 odd years in the district. So this will be their final submission, which will go to an inspector. The inspector, of course, will sit and judge whether the policies, these and all the others, are sound, and people will have a view on that. And I think that's the process. So I think you'll find this is their final submission, and that's what you've got, and that's what they will put forward to an inspector. That's my understanding.
Irrespective of any responses from Parish Council.
It's not a consultation.
What's
Sorry?
the point of
It's
doing
not. This is not a consultation.
But they have changed stuff since their consultation, Ian.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that's
I'm not-
incorrect.
I'm not here
surely.
to talk with the district council, and I'm not on the district council. Okay, so I'm not here. I'm here as a resident trying to give some advice. I think you'll find this will be submitted to the inspector. I may be proved wrong, but I don't think you'll find this is a consultation exercise. This is actually the final draft.
Yeah, there's invited comments on the final draft.
Yes.
We submit a comment that if,
No, the amendment.
and then HDC will decide whether they submit those comments with the consultation.
No, my understanding is that the comments will be submitted with the final submission to the inspector, and the inspector will read all of the comments. So the stronger comments we put in there. Sorry, Ian, is that right?
Yeah, so that's really the point I would perhaps like to get to at some point in the meeting,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Because otherwise there'd be no point.
Absolutely,
in this
yeah.
exercise, would there?
Yeah.
The other comment I would make is there are, if you look at the policies you're talking about, these policies would apply to lots of villages in Huntingdonshire when you consider Yaxley's in the north and how far we're in the south, as you might say.
Yeah.
So one of the things, perhaps at the end, a little bit when you finish, Peter, it's the what next question, I think. And I think I would pose some questions for what next that you might like to do,
Yeah.
please.
Andy.
I just wondered if it was worth drilling out a bit of some of their reasoning questions that they've changed and obviously made very woolly. I was looking at it always worries me when they say something and then they put the word however in as very much a catch-all. And there's, even in the first paragraph, I'll just really quickly read it. It says here, as such local plan makes no allocation for development in small settlements. However, the strategy does set out a role for limited amount of sustainable development in contributing to the local and economic sustainability of small settlements and supporting the thriving community. Given the variation in size and availability of services, between small settlements, it recognised that varying levels of development could sustainably be accommodated depending upon the nature of the individual small settlements. That's the really woolly bit they're saying, that, you know, if you're a bigger small settlement, you can have more or not. So I don't know whether it's worth looking at pulling some of those out as examples when you're referencing LP10.
Yeah, there is actually in LP10 in the reasoning, there's 3 paragraphs of that stuff, which is full of caveats.
Yeah.
That wasn't in the last draft.
No, it wasn't. That's why I said it was worth pulling those out and highlighting them and saying these are the changes. Yeah.
They don't give a specific definition as to what level of service, facilities or infrastructure would be required for development or acceptable. There's no specific guidance for planning other than to say that each site application will be judged on its merit vis-à-vis the above criteria. The guidance is now subjective and open to interpretation. Now we could go into much more detail, but people won't read it if you put too much in. They'll then say, okay, yeah, fine. And I prefer succinct and to the point comments, and we are saying that that does not, LP10 does not just waive any ability to have any guidelines on it. It's just saying it can be any size, anywhere, any time, any village.
You could add a sort of appendix, for want of a better word, that gives all the examples.
There's so many of them. Yeah, it responds. There's a lot of it. Basically what's happened is they put a lot of woolly language in.
And 10 more
so
policies.
They've kept all the positive stuff from the previous draft and then unravelled it with this however business, you know, which I agree with Andy. There's a lot of it that's suddenly appeared and gives them all sorts of angles.
It's just I like the idea of indicating the scale to which they've gone woolly, if you see what I mean. Not necessarily then putting in everything, because then you're just giving them back their own document.
Yeah, exactly.
So just perhaps some way of suggesting the scale of woolliness, a woolliness scale. Invent a 1 to 10. But yeah, I'm willing back.
Just I've written down scale of willingness, but I'm trying to think of a better way of wording it. Any other comments from parish councillors?
Well, my only comment is it's such a huge amount of new homes, isn't it? 20,100, which is, that's the first time that number's been, you know, printed, isn't it? So, into context, you know, there's 12,000 houses in St Neots, so it'd be like St Neots and St Ives together, wouldn't it? So it is.
And there are other sites, you know, they've given you all the sites where they're proposing to build, depending on what the number is. Arkenbury and Fenstanton and so on. The Fenstanton is the closest really,
And that's a key service centre, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Local service centre, sorry. It's not a key service centre, it's a local service centre. And has a number of new properties being built on 3 sites.
Now Cumbury Weald is a big development, so that's going to take quite a bit.
But I think part of what I'm hearing and what's being said is that the points made here are certainly true for in the draft, are certainly true for Hilton, but they are also true for any other small settlement. And whether we might help our case by stating that all small settlements are going to feel very nervous, uncomfortable, that, you know, anything could happen kind of feel, and that we for one therefore don't accept this.
We do say that in the conclusion, that this principle of concentrating development in centres which can offer the amenities is ultimately sane. I forget what the wording was. Whereas, and as a parish council, we supported that. But now they've changed that. But we don't. So there is in this document a reference to the fact that we agree with the overall principle of concentrating sustainable development in areas where services exist and infrastructure.
Yeah.
But you could, so under the LP10 small settlements, could add on to the end of this, that guidance is now subjective and open to interpretation and will have an effect on all small settlements within Huntingdonshire.
Interpretation.
You won't be able to read my writing. And we'll have an effect on all small settlements in Huntingdonshire. Or you could say have a potential adverse effect. Could have. Could have. Yeah, could rather than will, because we don't know it will. Could have an adverse effect. Yeah. That's an adverse effect. Yeah. Not that bad, that way. Then this one. And then perhaps, as Graham suggested on the final paragraph, to make that a paragraph for these reasons. Last sentence. And then embolden, yeah. So that's, and as to LP, the comment on LP10, would you want to change that in any way?
Doesn't it summarise it? I mean, it's the biggest of our responses.
Yes.
LP10 takes up the most space in our response.
Quite right.
And I think it's a summary, isn't it? It makes easy reading. And we're also writing back to the person that wrote it in the first place.
And LP2, you should know what comments under LP2 also challenge the change in the definition of small settlements.
Right.
The comments within LP2
Yes.
also, if you like, challenge the comments about the change in the definition of small settlements.
Yes. But
And, yeah,
it's fair to say that we are still classed as a small settlement, yeah?
we are.
Yeah.
Oh, we are, definitely,
Okay.
within the local plan document.
Yes, but it's just that the definition has changed.
That's right.
Is that still the smallest
Yeah.
definition?
Yeah.
So there's not one that's gone below that?
No.
So we're rewriting the definition of
Yes, the title said the same, but yeah, okay.
So, within the Parish Council, any other comments regarding that? Yeah, I'll come back to that. We'll do the Parish Council bit first, from the councillors, whether they have any other comments with regards to the response. You're happy? Anne?
Yes.
Sharon?
Yes. I think it's well written.
Yes, and thank you for doing that. Right, so I'm going to. No, I'm not going back on that at the moment. I'm going to see if there's any comments out there. And then, if we need to incorporate that into, then we'll vote on it. It's okay. Ian, you had your hand up, sir.
Yeah,
Put my glasses on to hear you.
yeah, it's in your conclusions, the last sentence.
Yeah.
I would add another sentence if I was you,
Uh-huh.
along the lines of that you formally object to these changes and would wish to bring these to the attention of the inspector.
Yeah.
All it
Yeah.
does is
It evens it up, doesn't it?
it strengthens your position. Okay.
Yeah, and then if there are any plans
Sorry, Joe,
submitted.
sorry.
Sorry, was
I
it?
think it's almost.
Okay, Kieran's typing it as well.
Okay, apologies.
That's all right, no, I'll shut up whilst these people take the notes, because otherwise.
Is to strengthen your position as you go forward.
Yeah. I know. Again, because if there are any applications then submitted, then we're told they're submitted under the local plan, we can say, yes, however, here's our document.
Well, I think that moves you on to
Yes, what next?
the next phase, which is when you go to the inspector, and I would suggest two things. The first is to see if there are other small settlements which have your view. There will be many, I suspect, that have not picked up on this. Small settlements, that is. And Stanton will not be one of them, by the way.
No, because it's a local service.
Because it has got a primary school and
Yeah.
etc.
Doctor surgery.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think it would be useful for you to see if there are any similar allies in small settlements within Huntingdonshire. One. And two, I would seriously consider, for instance, that you think about going to the public inquiry in front of the inspector and, if you like, almost submitting what you submit, although they would have it, but you would need to talk to your paper saying why the reasons you are objecting, why you don't think it's sound. I don't know that anybody's ever been to a public inquiry in the room.
Only the A14 stuff.
A14.
Loads of those.
Yes.
That was the
Yes.
worst of them.
The planning inspector is very similar, but,
Yes.
but obviously looking at the local plan, and obviously you need to make sure that you are well briefed, well talked through, and there may be some other parishes that might be interested in joining you in putting your joint case. So I think you need to, at some point, not now, tonight, but I would seriously advise you to consider what next.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is something that you need to think about, perhaps with other parishes.
When do you think that public inquiry will take place?
March. In March, I think you'll find it.
Yeah, because I know they're under pressure to get this through because it's been delayed so long.
Yeah, remember, I think it is March, Kieran, okay? Apologies if it's wrong. I assume March this year.
We'll get Joe to find out.
Yeah.
When it is.
And the only other point I would make, actually, having submitted this by the deadline, which is important to submit this by the deadline, which I would support, and that is to go and see, maybe with a couple of other parishes, like Hemmingford Abbots maybe, or Hemmingford Grey, and Houghton and Whitton, which are all local to you, obviously not St Ives or Fenton, because there's...
Or Gold Manchester.
But maybe a few of you go and talk to the planners.
Yeah, we've got that. It's going to
I
be a
certainly
suggestion.
think that might be of benefit.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yeah. No, that was one of the things I've got as what we're going to do next. Because obviously we have to get this submitted.
Yeah.
We'd like to invite as many stakeholders as possible to submit as well.
Can I just make it plain? I talk as a resident, please.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And that we will contact HDC to meet up with them. We'll find out when this inquiry is. At some point in March. So, ladies and gentlemen, from the floor, do you have any other comments you would like, or do you think that what we're proposing is a sound way forward? I've used that word sound, sorry, that's a HDC word.
Yes.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay, so no other suggestions from the floor? Okay, so on that basis then, we as a parish council, we have to make a little vote on what we're going to do. So I propose that we submit our response in line with the draft with the additions, which are...
So I sent it to myself as an email.
You sent it to yourself. That's very good. So,
Just whilst I was looking, just
Yeah.
one other thought. It does strike me that the much reduced planning department in HDC, with them trying to decide whether a planning application is appropriate or not, their lives are going to be made a lot harder by this as well. So it's creating work for them when they're much reduced. So they don't get anything out of it either. So whether that's worth adding
whereabouts would you
for
like
the
that?
inspector. Well, I'm just thinking that I guess it's within LP10, although I suppose you could argue it was LP2, strategy for development, that with the creation of all this vagueness, it's actually loading up the planning department. when they least need it, as well as upsetting.
And surely they're creating this vagueness because they have got to commit to building all these houses by 2036. And what they're doing is they're basically saying, well, if we can't get these larger settlements where we've stated, we will just go elsewhere. They don't really care about whether their planning department is overworked or not overworked. They just want as much flexibility to be able to build to keep in to those figures.
And I think
I'm
that's,
sure that's right.
I think that's something for HDC to, that's their internal
Problems.
That's their internal issue. So, I'm going to propose that the draft is made, is ratified with the addition of, in paragraph LP10,
At the end, a note of interpretation and could have adverse effect on small settlements in Cambridgeshire.
and then on the conclusion, that the last sentence becomes a new paragraph.
And in bold, for these reasons, Hilton Parish Council does not support this latest version of the local plan 2036 as it is no longer sound. We formally object to these changes and ask for this representation to be presented to the inspector.
Lovely. So I propose that is what we submit. Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Good. So that's that. And then as our way forward, we will look to meet with HDC. We will look to find out when the inspectorate is meeting and ensure that Hilton Parish Council is represented in one way or another at that meeting.
And we'll send this to our local district councils. Drops.
Oh yeah, we sent it to Alison and
Doug.
yeah?
Yeah.
So we need to send it to Alison and Doug. Put it on the website. We would, with a comment that perhaps we would, a comment just that if parishioners want to comment, they should be aware that they can only object on the basis of that the thing is, that they consider this thing not sound or illegal. And if they would like to look at the comments contained in what the Parish Council is submitting, that may help.
The definition of illegal is quite complicated.
Yes, it is, I know.
Because it's actually, the legality question is whether the consultation period was conducted in a legal way, not the whole thing.
So, yeah. Or maybe we could tune up the words to that, or they consider the consultation period. We suggest, we recommend that you, if you wish to object, that it's not sound.
I wonder, so, voted on it,
Yeah.
whether we should do what we did last time and put the sentence in there just saying that this representation has been reviewed in public meeting.
Yes.
Oh yeah. You did add that in, so please do. I know we voted on it. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's been changed.
I
It's
won't know,
been to
because
public
it goes on to
meeting.
that site, so it's not a supporting email. Joe has the fun of having to try and put it on the web.
Mentioned it now.
Yes.
Agreement, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Two thoughts in terms of going to see the HDC and getting more power to our elbows. Is it worth sending this to other small settlements in Huntingdonshire to say, you may or may not be aware, but this is our view, a different one?
Now it's ratified in the meeting. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
The document lists which ones they ask. The document identifies which ones they
Yeah.
ask.
So we'll probably send it by SLC, so
Yeah.
find out.
Is there any way of finding out if any other small settlements have responded? So Hemmingfords or
You can look on the web.
Yeah.
Look on the HDC.
Very
website.
quickly, there's Blundersham, Yaxley, Somersham put comments in already in the comments section that we'll be adding to. One of those, I think, I'm just reading it actually, I think is Blundersham, think that they've been recast as from a small settlement to a local, or whatever it is, a service centre.
Yeah.
And they're wanting to be put back if that's the case, but there's 4 on there already, but I think by the end of the week, like ourselves, we'll see a whole lot more go on. That'd be a good starting point to discuss back.
Yeah, I think London cast the net of a lot of property.
The other thought in my mind is if we're seeking to get more clarity as to what a small settlement is, we had it before, or they had it before in the previous version, are we saying we want it to be exactly as it was before, or is there any scope or something we want to indicate that
Actually, the
we're...
best version of it was in, it's the version that came out in 2015, was it? 2 years ago, which had a very specific number of houses, infill maximum 3.
Yeah.
Now,
Yes.
that may not suit us, I don't know, because we did have some voices.
Well, I just wonder if we should agree something between us as to what criteria we would like to see, understanding we're not likely to get it.
I would say by default, the fact we approved the previous draft, that would be
Just
what
the
we
definition in
agree.
the previous
Okay.
draft
Yeah,
that we were happy with, which was about just
yeah.
restricted and not.
Just didn't want a lot of
Opening
bunch of
up.
busy
And
ones.
during the consultation, they agreed it, and then they've changed it after the consultation period. So I think the best thing we could do is see whether we can get a lot of other parish councils to all join together and go to that meeting together under the small settlement plan,
Oh, sure.
depending what they put in their statement to the inspector or to HDC.
Slightly tempest argument, this, but actually on the legal thing about consultation, is there a legal obligation to actually change policy in line with comments that have been made? Because there's no point consulting and then going the other way, is there? I mean,
But that is the nature of consultation, it's not consensus. We'll consult you, but we can decide
They'll still
anything.
do whatever they want to do,
Yes.
but they'll
Not
tick the
into
box
that
to say
discussion.
they've consulted.
I'm not being
Sorry,
sorry, that is just a comment.
Yeah, sorry. So,
Perhaps one of your questions when you go to see the planners is what evidence did you have to change the policies?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
You got that down?
yeah, she has.
Yes.
Got any more ideas, like?
I've got loads of ideas, but I talk as a resident, please. Remember, please. But there are, I'm sure Kieran would be only too pleased to meet, to have a chat with me at some point in the future.
Yeah.
Chairman.
Excellent. I did hear a comment about consultation as an opportunity for people to seek views and ignore them. So, yeah. But that is obviously too damning, and it won't be in this case because they'll seek views and act on them. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to close the meeting at that point. Thank you very much.